stay tuned if you're a noob like me and you want to get into the tabletop game. I'm going to give over some pointers, what you should look for, and what you should focus on, right? But anyways, let's get into this. It's time to open up the box. And today we're going over some more Warhammer 40k and the Bible. The Aquila. This is the sign of the Imperium. And before that, I kind of want to get into why I love Warhammer so much, man. I have never gotten into a series like I have Warhammer. And it started with Darktide, of course. And I like the aesthetic. And really, it kind of started, I played Space Marine, back when it first came out on the Xbox 360. And of course, when I got done with the game, I was like, oh, cool game, and never really paid much attention to it. But it was like always in the back of my head. And finally, like when Darktide came out, I loved the aesthetic and the sci-fi and how like different it was, and how the lore sprawled out, and it branched out to like different stuff, But also, you can brainstorm this stuff. And before I get into the Aquila, I kind of want to show you what really sparked my interest, after, the Darktide that really got me into this. So, this is my first book, which I'm still on. It's called The Eye of Terror. If you guys don't know, it's about a rogue trader named Maynard Rugolo. And he's looking for riches and, without giving too much spoilers, in the Eye of Terror. And now, there's this one spot when they're first going into the warp. And Kaladin, there's a navigator that he finds. He's not necessarily a fully trained navigator. And navigators are like psychers who can, I guess, see through space, I guess is a good way of putting it, or see through the warp, or I'm not 100% the science, or not science, but the gears that happen with that, I guess. But they're navigators, and it helps them navigate the warp, right? Without using AI, stuff like that. So anyways, they're in the warp the first time, and Kaladin sees his mother. And Rugolo, is telling him, it's like, hey, it's a demon, right? And Rugolo doesn't really believe in the demons and, the gods and stuff like that. And then when someone come, from the administratum or something like that, he says, yeah, praise be the emperor, and he doesn't necessarily really believe it. And of course, in the Imperium, right, Inquisition, the Inquisition is after you, pretty much, right? But anyways, I was watching Luton with his What's Turning Me Upside Down in the 40k for him. And he was talking about how the Emperor, was maybe being like a conduit or something like that. And have you ever guys heard of the saying called order out of chaos? So I think this is just my thoughts on this, my noob thoughts, okay? That the Emperor wanted the Horus Heresy to happen. So that way it would create this strict religious belief, I guess, per se. And if it's true, see, like, this is the thing with Warhammer, okay? It's never really specified if Kaladin, at least from the point I'm in the book, they haven't done it yet. But Kaladin, did he see his mother? Or spirits going into the warp. you know, it never really tells you, right? So you're left just sitting there going like, wait a minute, is she a demon, or was it a demon, or is that a spirit? Is that his mom? Sorry about that, technical difficulties. But anyways, so we're never really told, if it's spirit or a demon. So if it's true that this was a spirit, what if the emperor is letting all this stuff happen, so that way he can be like this conduit, right? Pulling all these maybe human spirits towards him. And maybe either creating a human psycho race that can block the warp, or not have, be able to block it, I guess. Or he could be in there creating himself, as a godlike person in the warp, to be able to attack the warp, I guess, per se, if that makes sense. Now, like I said, this is my new mind, right? I'm not sure if any of this stuff is specified or what's going on. But that's the beauty of Warhammer 40k, right? It's really got me, man. Like, I can't help it, you know what I mean? I'm not here to, convert you guys to Christianity, I just want to bring these two passions of mine together. Take some ideas, I understand 40k or Warhammer 40k is a fictional series, right? And writers get inspiration from real stories, right? Or, mythologies and whatever. So, I'm not here to tear down, okay? Just know that. But anyways, now let's go ahead and get into it. So, the Aquila. This is the Imperium seal, or symbol, I guess you could say. Okay, and Aquila means eagle, I do believe. Okay, the Aquila, also known as Imperial Aquila, Great Aquila, and Imperial Eagle, normally refers to a two-headed eagle that symbolizes the Pax Imperialis, the oath that binds together all imperial servants under the banner of the Emperor of Mankind. It is a universal symbol within the Imperium, and more than anything else represents the dominion of the Emperor. It is also said that the eagle and its variations symbolizes both the Imperium as such, as loyalty, the Emperor as its master. Okay, sorry I read that. Anyways, it is also the heraldic device of the imperial state, and at the same time, holy symbol of the imperial cult. The double-headed eagle also represents the union of the mechanicum of Mars and the Emperor, or between Mars and Terra, right? And you're going to see here, there's like one eye here, or it's only got like one eye. This side's blind. Now, from what I read, it's being blind to the past, I believe is what that means. I could be wrong on that, so take that with a grain of salt. But anyways, so here's the history of it. Oh my goodness, okay. Pre-Great Crusade. Before the formalization of the eagle, also see Raptor Imperialis. As the symbol of the Imperium of Emperor's personal device was the thunderbolt and lightning emblem, which was used during the Unification Wars. But the Imperial Eagle also is a symbol of the Emperor's War of Unification. Then we have the Great Crusade, which is pre-heresy, which is the Horus heresy. When the newly found Fulgrim was brought to Terra by the Emperor to join his Fulgrim's Legion, the Primarch addressed his warriors in a speech, tasking them with bringing the wisdom of the Emperor to all the stars and underlining that they were the children of the Emperor. The Emperor was so impressed by these words that he bestowed a unique honor on Fulgrim's Legion, They would be permitted to display the imperial eagle on their armor chest plates. The only legion permitted to do so. Possibly, the Aquila was also already being used more generally on power armor during this in later times. Okay, now we're getting to the Horus Heresy. Towards the end of the Horus Heresy, when the final battle for Mars was underway, the armor development teams were evacuated from Mars to Terra, where they continued their work. The result of their work was the Mark 7 Armorum Impetor. Oh my goodness. Impetor. Or the Eagle Armor, which takes its common name from the eagle device it bears. The Eagle Armor started to reach the Loyalist Space Marines defenders on Terra and on the Moon when Horus and his forces overcame the last resistance on Mars. For possible use of the Aquila on early marks, I guess that's someone famous reading, end quote. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so we got the designs and meaning. The Aquila most commonly has two heads looking into different directions. One said to so blinded to look in the past, one-sided to see the future, or one head gazing into the materium, while another gazes into the immaterium. So the person I was reading there was right. Okay, if you can take what these are wikis. Okay, so take everything with a grain of salt, I guess. And seeing head with the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. This is just easier for me to help tell a story since I'm a noob. Okay, the left wing, as seen from viewer's perspective, represents the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, while the right wing represents the Adeptus Mechanicus. The eagle's body stands for the Adeptus Custodes, while the left straight claw, again as seen from the viewer's perspective, represents the Administratum, and the right crooked claw, the Adeptus Arbitus. Okay. So, we have the usage. Now, there was something I wanted to talk about real quick, darn it. Oh, yes. So, also with that brainstorming I was doing, I forgot to bring this up. The Sister Sororitas, they have this really strong belief in the Emperor, which I do believe helps at least with their psychic abilities, or something to that extent. Like their worship gives them somewhat of maybe a power amperage, amps up, or I'm not sure. And I wonder if this is why, the Emperor has everything kind of doom and gloomy to feed kind of the warp, but as being a conduit to bring those souls towards him, maybe. Okay, so I apologize for that. I forgot to bring that up. Anyways, the usage. The device of the Aquila is generally used throughout the galaxy wherever the Imperium wishes to proclaim its authority. Typical examples include architecture, armor, vehicles like spaceships, weapons, containers, and at least prior to the Horus Heresy, also currency, i.e. on coins. Aquila are frequently worn by imperial servants, or aquilae, I think that's how you would say that, on clothing, ceremonial dresses, armor, or in the form of jewelry. For example, as a necklace or as a brooch, tattoos, or the etchings across shoulder blades, or other adornments. Okay. So it would be, these are like the medals, I'm guessing, right here. Here's one that I show kind of at the end here, but you'll see like a skull with wings, right? Not this, but something to that extent. But anyways, the Aquila typically adorns the chest piece of Space Marine power armor. It also is ubiquitous on medals like the Astra Militarum, Militarum honors, and can also be found as the Aquila token. Professionalism. Anyways. Okay, it also appears on vehicles as an affirmation of loyalty. Now you have what is called the sign of the Aquila. We pretty much get what's, all that stuff. But anyways, the sign of the Aquila, often shortened to simply Aquila, is a sign of devotion to the Imperium. So it's, if you see here, doing this, right? If you'll see, like in statues, stuff like that, you'll see them like this, right? So that's the sign of the Aquila. It is a sign of devotion to the Imperium, also used, for example, as a sign of defiance against warp entities. It was used as a sign of devotion from early on. It is also known to have been used as a formal greeting between at least Space Marines and as a sign of respect towards fallen brothers. Descriptions of how to actually do this sign are, however, a bit unclear. In one instance, it is said that the hands are placed or pressed to one's chest, palms open, blades of fingers extended, and thumb raised, while others say that show the thumbs are interlocked or crossed, while yet another source says the fingers are laced into the shape on the Aquila. Again, the beauty of Warhammer 40k. Excuse me. Anyways, so this is going to be interesting here. Now, like I said, separate the fiction from the Bible here, right? We're just taking ideas. But anyways, now, this is what I would say religion does very well. It tells you what you can read and what you can't read, right? So this is right here is probably one of the banned books. This is in the 1611 Bible, but it's called 2nd Esdras 11, sometimes called Baruch, but I go with 2nd Esdras. Anyways, the vision of the eagle and the lion. Okay, 2nd Esdras 11. On the second night, I had a dream. I saw an eagle with 12 feathered wings and 3 heads, rising up from the sea. As I looked, it spread its wings over the whole earth, and all the winds of heaven blew toward it, and the clouds gathered around it. Out of its wings grew opposing wings. These became small, tiny wings. Its head were at rest. The middle head was larger than the other heads, but it was also at rest with them. I kept looking and saw the eagle flying with its wings to rule over the earth. So, just like in the Imperium, this symbol has been used throughout all the world, okay? Not just America, throughout the whole world. And it means rule, empire, stuff like that, right? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Saw the eagle flying, who rule over the earth and over those who lived on the earth. I saw how everything under heaven was made to submit to it, and no one opposed it, not a single creature that lives on the earth. I looked and saw the eagle rise on its talons and call out its wings, saying, "Don't all watch together. Let each one sleep in its place and take turns watching, but the heads will be kept for the end." I looked and saw that the voice didn't come from its heads, but from the middle of its body. I counted its opposing wings, and there were 8 of them. A wing arose on the right side, and it ruled over the whole earth. Very interesting, huh? And while it was ruling, it came to an end and disappeared, so that its place vanished. The next one rose up and ruled, and held sway a long time. While it was exercising its rule, it came to its end, so that it disappeared like the previous one. Then a voice rang out, saying to this wing, "Listen, you who have held sway over the earth all this time. I announce this to you before you begin to disappear. No one after you will hold sway as long as time, not even half as long." A third wing raised itself up, and it also exercised rulership like the previous ones, and it too disappeared. And so it happened to each of the wings in turn, to come to power and then never to be seen again. I looked, and indeed the wings that followed on the right side also rose up in time, so that they too might rule. but some of those who came to power disappeared immediately, while the others of them rose up but didn't succeed in establishing their rule. After all this, I looked again, and the 12 wings and 2 of the little wings had disappeared. Nothing remained on the body of the eagle except 3 heads that were at rest in 6 little wings. And I looked and noticed that 2 of the 6 little wings were set apart. And remained under the head of the right side, but 4 remained in their place. I watched as these little wings plotted to rise up and take power. One was raised up, but it immediately disappeared. And then a second, but this one disappeared more quickly than the previous one. I saw the 2 that were left plotting among themselves that they too should rule. Now, so like in chaos, right? In chaos or in the warp, the demons and the gods, they're always warring after each other, right? Same thing here. It's crazy. But while they were making their plans, one of the heads that had been at rest, the one in the middle, woke up. This one was bigger than the other 2 heads. I saw it formed a partnership with the 2 other heads, and then how the head turned those that were with it, and it ate the 2 little wings and had planned to rule. Moreover, that this head gained power over the whole earth and dominated those who lived on it, inflicting that distress. It had greater power over the whole world than all the wings that had gone before. Now, I could get more into this, but it'll get, I guess, ultra Bible-y. So, if you want to check out more on that, I do have a video on this. So if you want to check out more, you can check that out. I'll put it in a card this time. Forgot to do it the last time when I said that. But anyways, so there's that. Quite interesting. And so these are, the real IRL double-headed eagle seals. And if you notice, you got this crown here, but a missing head, right? But like I said, I'll save that. I try to save the Ultra Bible stuff for my other videos. That's why I kind of separate them. I got different intros for different videos, right? And this is mostly about Warhammer, right? So, anyways. Okay. So, it's pretty cool. This is where, the writers got their ideas. It's all over the world. So it's like, of course, right? This is what writers do. I just think it's cool, that I get to do this, and that I'm not afraid to put things together, I guess, per se. This is a fictional universe, right? But it doesn't mean it doesn't have great ideas, and great teachings. Like when you get religion and government together. Never good, right? I think Christians forget we had what was called the Church of England, right? You couldn't build a church without their approval. You had to read their content, and vice versa. And if you didn't, you were put in jail, right? Or stuff like that. Warhammer is a good teaching tool, of what probably not to do. But anyways, like, I love it, man. I can't help it, right? I don't want to tear down something I love, And people are already going through hard times, Why do I want to tear down something that's helping them escape? And the beautiful thing about Warhammer is it doesn't usually matter, maybe sometimes, what political spectrum you're on, what religion you are, right? We're connected by that foundation of Warhammer, right? Or video games, and I've never seen anything bring people together more than stuff like this in gaming, right? But anyways, enough of the, I guess, anyways, I want to get into Saint Celestine. So just, talking about the Sister Sororitas, right? So this is a very interesting character. Okay. Despair and you give yourself to the shadows. Believe, truly believe in the Emperor of mankind, and you shall walk in his light, no matter how dark the path you tread. Saint Celestine. Saint Celestine is revered living saint of the Adeptus Sororitas, Order of the Martyred Lady. A being of incredible psychic power and faith, believed to many in the Imperium man to be have been resurrected from death many times as a tool of the Emperor of mankind himself. This is another thing that's making me think, maybe, or think too, or also, is that maybe he's creating a humans, I guess per se, like this, that like my goodness, what's it called? Reincarnation. And maybe he's getting them a little bit, stuff like this, like Saint Celestine, to where their faith is making them better, I guess, or not better, I should say that their faith in the Emperor, which he's being a conduit, right, in the warp, and I don't know, I should probably shut up there. My brain's going like everywhere on this stuff, so anyways, as a mortal, she was thought slain during the campaign against the renegade war master of Forax, but has returned at various times since to rescue Imperial forces in danger of being destroyed by the enemies of the God Emperor. Wings spread wide, halo blazing, an ardent blade in hand, Saint Celestine is the embodiment of the God Emperor's might. She shines like a star amid the smoke and fumes of the battlefield, radiating holy light. The faithful are filled with strength and courage by her presence, even as heretics recoil in terror. Those who flee are wise to do so, for Celestine strikes like the Emperor's own judgment, smiting the unrighteous with strength that bellies her human form. With a gesture, the living saint calls fires of psychic retribution down from on high, or infuses her sick and injured allies with healing energies. See, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. Like, maybe he's trying to create a race like her, humans like her or something to that extent, because now I guess we're getting the Primaris, which are upgraded, space marines. And before that, like, it seems like the Emperor is trying to get people to not be so sensitive to the warp or something to that extent, right? In my opinion. But anyways. Okay. Okay, with the gesture, the living saints call fires which being down from high infuses. Okay. The Gemini Superia fight on her side. The former Sororitas canonesses, Genevieve and Eleanor. My goodness, man, what is wrong with me today? Okay, had chosen champions who would lay down their lives, and have several times, to protect the blessed saint from harm. Celestine is borne aloft on a column of divine radiance and sometimes attended by cherubs and doves. She is clad in a suit of shining golden Sororitas power armor, and wields a blade wreathed in fire, a blade so bright none can bear to look upon it. All of noble heart who gaze upon Celestine dare meet her eyes are filled with adoration. Now where I'm getting with this, okay, where is it? Sisters of battle would willingly follow this terror. Anyways, I don't want to read too much and bore you guys here. She has what are called the wings of the Aquila. And I've been trying to find this. I think there's an ability, I don't know if it was her or some of the Sororitas have, but it's called like the wings of the Aquila, and it was like an ability. Maybe this is in the tabletop. Maybe you guys could let me know about that. But I've been trying to find it, and I can't really find it. I've heard it somewhere. I think I heard it in one of the lore videos I was listening to. So I'm not, I don't know. If you guys know about that, let me know. Anyways, she was, and I think yeah, okay. Celestine joined the Terran Crusade that Goleman proclaimed. So Goleman, um, oh, here's what I wanted to. Okay, there, Celestine played an important role in the events that led to the resurrection of the Ultramarines Primarch Robo Goleman. So he's the, he's the Primarch that's been resurrected now. And what's cool is that he's taken him forward again. He saw that the Imperium wasn't what it was when he was alive, and he's kind of correcting course, right? This is what I mean about like order out of chaos. You know what I mean? Maybe this is something the Emperor is doing behind the scenes. I don't know, but because it seems like they keep getting better and better. They go through this um, like humanity's golden age, right? And they fall, and then what came up out of that was the Emperor and all that, or it could have been later. I gotta look that up again. But anyways, you have the Emperor, and then he has the Thunder Warriors, right? So he gets them to do what he needed them to do, and then he ups it with the Space Marines, right? And then one thing I do need to look up is the Custodes. I haven't really looked into them too much, so I know I think they're like the Emperor's guards or something to that extent. But again, I don't want to speak on that because I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, so here's that one. The skull of the Adeptus, utilized by the Adeptus Astartes, which are Space Marines. Okay. The Imperialis symbol, a winged skull, dates back to the Horus Heresy, when it was used by the loyal Space Marine legions in the Imperial Army troopers in recognition of braveries and loss. Excuse me. Later became a badge of honor borne by loyalist units during the heresy. Now in the late, 41st millennium, it is used more to symbolize the righteous victory of the Imperium man over its many enemies in general, and it is awarded to Space Marines as badge of honor following a victorious battle. Rather than being presented as a medal, it is often carved into the chest armor plate of Space Marines' power armor, replacing the standard Aquila symbol. Although it also appears on Space Marines' weapons, banners, and what is that word? Banners and finials. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what a finial is. I'm guessing that's like a standard or a banner, something to that extent. The Imperialis, especially when incorporated into a suit of power armor's chest plate. It is often made from precious metal or some other rare substance and laid into the surface of the armor so that it stands out to a greater degree. Okay, what does it say here? Oh, okay. The wings of the skull represent the wings of the Aquila, the double-headed eagle that is an official symbol of the Imperium. While the skull is a common motif in imperial iconography, my goodness, iconography, which iconography. I'm done. Anyways, which represents the sacrifice of the Emperor of mankind for humanity's salvation, an ancient symbol with the origins in the Horus heresy. The Imperialis was first used by the Loyalist Space Marine legions as an army badge, denoting their continued devotion to the Emperor in the wake of their brethren's treachery. Since then, it has come to stand as a symbol of the loyalty a Space Marine has toward his chapter and the Emperor, and usually worn by those who have sworn by completed numerous oaths of devotion to the Emperor to prove themselves. These Space Marines are favored by their peers in matters of importance and trust. Chapter Masters also usually only recognize a battle brother's right to bear the Imperialis if they have overcome some form of temptation and had their loyalty tested, surviving the experience with their faith in the Emperor, the Imperium, and their chapter unbroken. So that's the Imperialis. So when you're going to hear this, I just wanted to bring it up because you're going to hear it throughout the stories and stuff like that. So, anyways, now we have an ancient. What they're called is their duty is the standard bearer, right? And a standard is basically a banner that you would bring in battle, right? And you'd stand it. That's the way I remember it as, right? Anyways, an ancient is also known as a standard bearer. Is a hand-picked veteran of a Space Marine chapter who is chosen to bear the sacred battle standard of a chapter. And you're going to see a lot of them have the Aquila wings and stuff like that, or angel wings and stuff like that. And you'll usually see it with the Aquila on top here. But see how that skull? This is the Imperialis. Okay. The sacred battle standards of a chapter or one of its individual companies is usually part of a chapter or company honor guard. These battle standards are possibly the most revered of all chapters' artifacts. Very much so. Each standard has proudly flown over hundreds of battlefields, and every battle brother will understand the exact nuance and reference that has been woven into their lavish designs. The standard bearers are chosen specifically for their bravery and steadfastness. They are also a more than capable warrior who is not to be discounted when assessing the chapter's fighting strength. The title of Ancient is reserved for the standard bearers of the Codex Astartes compliant chapters, and is considered one of the most prestigious and senior ranks within most Space Marine chapters. Get to stand out there in the middle of the battlefield, probably cannon fodder. Sorry. Anyways, among the formation of the Primaris Space Marines, a standard bearer for a company of the entire chapter is known as a Primaris Ancient. And really, in Warhammer, it's like the closer you are to the battlefield, the more honor you have, but anyways. So, now, I do want to get into some, and I'm going to have to put a thing at the beginning there. Never mind. Anyways, I want to get into some, if you're trying to get into the tabletop game, right? I want to focus on some things here. Where is it? This is warhammercommunity.com, by the way. You have the battle round. So first and foremost, when starting an army, like I haven't done this yet. I'm just getting into Warhammer. But from what I can see here, and from what other people have said, I would first start out with the lore of the army that you like, right? The army that you really like the lore of. Because you're going to be spending a lot of money, and it's going to suck if you're just doing some meta thing, right? And you're not really liking it. So, focus on what phase you like the most, right? Psychic phase. This is probably a good, if you like the psychic phase, Grey Knights are good. They're all psychers, right? But me, I like to have kind of like a balanced approach, That way I can cover all my bases. I want like a jack of all trades type of thing, right? I don't want to leave, anything unchecked for me, So that's where I'm gonna start is what's the army that kind of has base stats for all these, right? And then another thing you want to think of is how much you want to paint, right? Um, Space Marines, all you got to do is slap a coat of blue paint or whatever, salamanders green, stuff like that. And or if you got the Eldar, you're gonna have to do a little bit more painting and stuff like that, right? And really get to understand the rules here, right? Trust me, I still got a lot to go, you know. But and look at what their abilities are. Do you like those abilities that they have, right? War gear. What kind of gear do you want them to have, right? And do you like sniping like I do? Tow's are great for sitting back and sniping. Now, I heard that they're not good with melee phase, but yeah. And also pay attention to on the dice rolls where are you going to be having to roll threes, fours, fives, right? Do they hit their shots on five? Basically, is what that means. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get a five. It just means three and up, five and up, stuff like that. So this is just stuff that I'm kind of going through. You know, what kind of weapons, are you going to be focusing on melee? You know, do you want, you know, I don't know if this is a army in it or army unit in the game, but the assault marines, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're there. They're very melee focused, right? And I do believe within Space Marines, like you can have an assault marine group and a scout group and stuff like that, right? So, like, think about that too. Anyways, there's something else. Yeah. So, here's some factions. Overview all the armies and races. I would find a list, like this, and say, I like bugs, or they're not necessarily bugs, but you know, I guess a hive mind type thing, right? Tyranids. If you like hive mind stories or something like that, right? Tyranids would be a good one. The orcs. If you like massive armies on the field, orcs are you guys, right? If you like moving in quickly, hitting them from afar, Tau's your guys, right? Stuff like that. This is what I mean, like, you're gonna have to, if you don't feel like painting too much, Necrons doesn't look like they're too bad, but just remember you're going to be painting, green, red, blues, and all that stuff. No, maybe not with the Necrons, but you guys get what I mean. And you look at the Space Marines, unless you have these guys right here, it's just blue, gray, and gold, and of course white. But so just take that into account. And this was sparked from a comment that I got. So now, here's what I've been looking at: is the Tau, because I like sniping, right? And kind of a hit run tactics type of thing, right? Now, the close combat, though, this is what's kind of pushing me away a little bit from them, is I like to have melee combat. So, that's going to be a little rough if I do use them. But if you notice, they got a lot of colors, which I wouldn't mind if I didn't suck at art. You know what I mean? But, and I'm sure it's not as hard as people think it is, right? But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of colors here. I mean, it's not too bad though if you think about it. But yeah, here's just gotta remember. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. And hopefully you guys got a little bit, help with the tabletop if you're getting into it just like me. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful day.